Good day, Internet.
Hi, Roger. What was that?
Hello.
Hi,
I was gonna quietly exit stage right, but
But you did not.
no.
But
like,
no,
oh, wait
you
a
weren't
minute.
quiet.
Amazing.
Everyone.
Well, Roger, we know you got to go, so
Yeah. No.
go whenever
yeah.
you need to.
Yeah.
I'll bomb us right when you guys start. Before you start.
That was awesome.
After you start. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun. Listen, it'll be the best walk-in ever when it's all done and paid for.
That's right.
What's a walk-in? Just imagine if you had a room-sized cooler, and then you stuck like the internals of a refrigerator half inside and then half on top of your house.
So Roger, here's what you could do, because you have a unique opportunity since you're going to have basically an empty walk-in for at least a little while.
Probably 45 minutes until the tenant starts loading all the stuff back into
but
it.
you could do an unboxing of yourself.
Wait,
Hey,
what?
Tom, can you do us a favor?
Yeah.
I'm
Tom,
loving this. I'm
could
loving
you
this.
reconnect? Because your video is not showing up on the stream at all.
Okay.
So if you can just pop out, pop back in again, please.
That'll end the
I'm trying-
recording.
I've got my recording on my end. So.
Okay.
But yeah,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
you could unbox yourself.
How? I just
You
opened the
literally-
door and stepped out.
You could do a video
Walk
of
out,
hey,
yeah.
hey, I'm going to unbox the Roger Tang 7.7.
Probably might be a
Just-
disappointing.
just
might be
work
a
with me, man.
disappointing
Just-
release.
I'm in content mode, so it's like
I
hey,
know, no, I
you
totally-
got a
I'm
big
totally with
giant
it.
empty box. I'd get in the box and I'd film
There you
myself
are,
coming
Tom.
out of it unboxing.
Hey, your
myself.
picture's snappy and sharp.
Oh, it won't be for long.
Nope.
Give it a minute.
Give it a minute. It'll get tired like we all are
We've
on
been
a
through.
Friday.
We've done this dance before, so oh well. As long
Is
as the
what it
audio
is.
works, right?
Well, through the magic of video, you came back with the hat on.
I
know.
did. Yeah,
Magic.
it's hat.
All you have to do, Rob, is believe, and then you'll have one on top of your head.
be a believer.
Who is listening to Swag on constant repeat, by the way? Right? I know Tom is. The album is so good. Who knew? The
I
beat is
am
back.
so bad with current music. I was like,
I was just recently introduced to Ethel Cain, so I've been trying to dig into that story for a little bit.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
Tell
one
us
of my
more.
One of my new coworkers introduced me, and I don't know enough to explain it, but hopefully by the end of the weekend I will have an idea.
Ethel.
But it's
Cain.
yeah,
I'm looking it up.
it's a
Way to one up us culturally. Be like, yeah, I'm more indie. I'm not about the beat.
Oh, she kind of reminds me of Florence and the Machine.
yeah, young lady has doing her own albums, and then also has like the Ethel Cain persona that is telling a separate story and based on her life. It's interesting, and the music is not something that I found elsewhere. So
Folk, gothic, this is on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Folk, gothic rock, alternative pop, slowcore, Americana, ambient. Ambient is the one that kind of like,
A
oh,
lot
interesting.
going on there.
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Ambient's a
I'll
big
give it
deal
that.
these days.
Yeah, no, it's weird because ambient just used to be a placeholder, like until you filled it in with something else, or you were just trying to get to sleep.
I've been listening to a lot of city pop too.
City pop.
Future, what was the one I liked? Future funk.
Future funk.
That's pretty.
Careful.
I mean, there's so many weird cross sub genres that kind of get into like very niche things, and then they spread over into something else. Because it's hard to be just one thing, right? You can't be like you need to have a blend. It's
Ever
just
since California cuisine, you can't just have one kind of food or music.
no.
Future
Listen,
funk totally sounds like the
I-
California cuisine of music.
The first time I worked in an office back at ZDTV, one of the things that astounded my 23-year-old self was people like saying like, I can't eat that. I ate that insert like style of food, Mexican, Chinese, or whatever for lunch yesterday. So I can't eat it today. It's like, oh, that's kind of a weird thing. Like you have to have a different food style.
It's like a
each day.
uniquely American problem.
I was just gonna say, I think the word you're looking for is privilege.
I can't eat that. It's like, what are you talking about? When I was a
don't
kid, I ate
know.
the same leftovers like 3 days in a row.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Now
a lot
that
of them were
I struggle
bologna.
with. I'm not big, not because I dislike them. I just don't want to eat the same thing 3 days in a row. So
I'm the opposite, Rob. I dislike leftovers, but if you find leftovers that I do like, I will eat them until they are gone.
I am
Oh,
one
I'll
of those.
Definitely
Yeah.
eat them. I mean, wasting. I will not waste.
I will not waste
I'm
food.
hardcore about that, but I will remix.
My parents have drilled in me the heresy that is wasting food, so I eat all of it. Or if you're really hard up, you just make a stew out of it.
Yep, totally. Good. I'm glad to hear it. We waste so
Disco
much food.
stew.
It's terrible. Disco stew.
I mean, yeah. It is a shame if you see all the produce that gets tossed up because it's blemished. Just don't charge me $5 a pound
It's
for
almost
apples.
as if you could have listened to Molly's podcast and learned ways to help avoid that.
Found out about flash food.
Oh, what I do
Not
is
flash
just
food and too good to go.
Flash food is a thing.
Too good to go.
you go to the secondhand produce store.
They have that?
No.
Oh.
They should.
Well,
Just
Too
say-
Good to Go and Flash Food are both that. Like they're apps
Yeah.
for secondhand for stuff that's
yeah,
close to its
There
best by
was-
date, or doesn't
I guess
look
it,
pretty.
I guess it's like a local version of like what the
doesn't
grocery outlet is, which is just like
We tried.
there is a food delivery
You only do so
service. I
much.
cannot think of the name of it, but what they do is they actually get the food that won't make it onto the grocery store shelves because the can of soup might have a dent in it, or the carrot is funny shaped, or something like that. So they literally have made a business of just getting all that food, boxing it up, and shipping it out to folks for
I
significantly
was-
reduced prices.
I was watching something last year about that around baby carrots because that's where baby carrots came from. Like they got these little undersized malformed carrots that like we can't sell these as carrots.
Yeah, this
And
is what
some-
Molly has covered on her show. That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I tried.
I saw.
tried.
I'm sorry. I saw this last year, and I had to tell you 12 months later.
2-minute warning. 2 minutes.
Listen, I won't be on the show, so you can wallow in the
Everybody in the
knowledge that it won't
pool.com.
be. Except you, Roger. Take your undersized carrots and get out of here.
Imperfect Produce is the name of the service.
So we've
Don't
recently
produce
had to
shame.
start checking the dates on our bread because for some reason it was being molding way faster than it usually was, and they were putting bread on the shelf that was 1 day away from being expired.
It's DIY penicillin.
It's because of
Ton of
big,
stuff.
big mold. Big.
Yeah, big mold's coming for us.
Yeah. It's actually secretly big cheese. Who's the big cheese around here? Cheese bread. Cheese bread. Food. What else can you do with food? Produce. Dented corn. Oh wait, dented corn isn't dented cans. That's just that dent corn specifically, just the corn with the dent. Has less sugar in it, right? That's the stuff you give cows. Roger, just because you can talk doesn't mean you should
We
talk.
don't even know where to go with this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm totally just like,
Okay.
I'll just be right here with my hat on.
I'm over here in the corner.
Did you try cocaine for the first time today? Like, what is going on, Roger?
Oh, that's
Wait
an
a minute.
idea.
You think this is me on cocaine?
We had one of those Cokes with the cane
30
sugar in it.
seconds.
The real sugar.
How many
You found
caffeine
100
pills did you take today, Roger?
Yeah, you
None.
found
How
a
many caffeine
115-year-old cocaine Coca-Cola, and it's like, hey, this should be good.
To be
Here in
fair,
Oakland,
this
we
is
call
all the
those
Roger we get today, so we have to
Mexico.
pack in as
Yeah,
much
it's
as
got to
true.
get what
You
we
know.
can.
Yes.
Just to like
It's accelerated Chang.
Roger
Find
content.
it on your grocery shelves.
I feel bad because I'm drinking a Monster, and I'm like, man, I can't even keep up with this dude.
A monster. Oh my goodness, Amos. Don't do it.
So much.
We all have our vices.
Have a good show, everybody.
Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Friday, July 18th, 2025 in Anaheim, California. I'm Tom Merritt.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
From Oakland, California, I'm Molly Wood.
And from the land where most earthquakes are several states away, I'm the show's producer, Amos.
Don't get too cocky, Amos.
No,
DTNS Live is made possible by you, the listeners, and the viewers. Thanks to all of you, including Philip Less, Howard Yermis, John Atwood, and Dr. X1728.
Welcome to DTNS Live, the show where we talk about tech news, try to help each other understand, and have a good time doing it. Roger had to be called away, so Amos is filling in. Sarah has the day off, but we've got Robb Dunewood. We've got Molly Wood in the house. Hey, Molly Wood.
Yeah. Good to see you, Molly.
How's it going, everybody? I know I love this summer show. Let's mix it up. Mixing it up.
So I thought Alaska had an earthquake recently.
I know,
It was probably
that's what I
like
thought. I'm
way
like, I
away
think
from you. Earthquake, Alaska's a big place. So
Yeah, I recently saw a post from a fellow Alaskan that was like, yeah, it was in our state, but if you overlay Alaska across the United States, I live in northern Missouri, and this happened in like southern New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is definitely the case with
distance.
California. We have that a lot. Like people will call me about fires in Southern California, and I'm like, we're fine. Even fires in
Hours
Northern
away
California.
by flying, even. So
Yes, exactly. Having grown up in Montana and California, I can relate to the this state is way bigger than you think it is situation.
So people in the lower 48 were texting us, telling us about the tsunami warning. We're like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I guess.
I hope the people in the Aleutians are safe.
Yeah, I'm sure they knew about it. We didn't. It didn't even show up on my app because it was so far away.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, folks, we've got some fun today. We've got a quiz for you. We got some great discussions. If you're listening live, listen to those segments and throw out a name for this show, because during the show, if you go to dtns.showbot.tv, you can submit titles and vote on them. And by the end of the show, we will take your votes under advisement. We will make an executive decision and name the show. But one of you gets to name the show. That is the one thing that is guaranteed. So you might want to be a part of that. If you're watching live, go check it out, dtns.showbot.tv. Let's kick off with a few stories that caught our eye. Apple is suing John Prosser and Michael Ramaciotti in California for allegedly conspiring to steal trade secrets by accessing a developer's iPhone that had a developer version of iOS on it. According to Mac Rumor's reading of the filing, Prosser offered to pay Ramaciotti if he could access the device, or at least that's what Apple alleges. The device belonged to Apple designer Ethan Lipnick. Apple says Ramaciotti, who is Lipnick's friend, then accessed the phone when Lipnick was away, FaceTimed Prosser to show off unreleased iOS 26 features. Prosser then screen captured them, modified them, get rid of any identifying marks, but apparently still included the background of Lipnick's apartment, and somebody notified it. Lipnick has now lost his job. Apple doesn't usually sue over this stuff. So definitely a few lines have been crossed to make Apple do that.
Let's start off with what a horrible friend. You're staying at somebody's house and you steal stuff off
Allegedly.
their phone. This is allegedly a horrible friend.
Yeah.
And Apple is suing. I don't know if I was Ethan Lipnick, I might be trying to sue somebody too, because this is horrible. It's like,
right?
you're coming to stay at my house and you're going to jack me like this, and it cost me my job. That is the worst part of the story for me.
That's a friend in quotes.
That's
right
a
there.
great point. That is an excellent point. That is really a deep alleged betrayal.
I wonder how much of this is Apple just being mad at John Prosser for getting things right in the past and not going through official channels like some people do.
If that were the case, they'd be suing Gurman all the time, because Gurman's right like 90% of the time. Prosser's right about 50% of the time, roughly. They don't sue Mark Gurman because Gurman knows how to do it right.
Gurman knows how to cover his tracks.
Well,
Allegedly.
he knows how to play the game. He knows how to cultivate his sources. He knows how to not betray people.
Right.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah.
Right.
It is, but
Allegedly.
suing, like sort of in addition to that, suing is a big step. Like that is very unusual.
Yeah.
Apple usually just sort of quietly like cuts people off or disappears them in the desert or whatever it is they do to keep people quiet.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And so the fact that they have filed a lawsuit here is very interesting, because on the one hand, it's sort of like it's sort of like suing a journalist-ish, which is unusual behavior for them. And it's very public, which is also somewhat unusual.
If Apple's suing, they intend to win.
Yeah,
this,
Wentoy
so
Dow and I
they're
talked about this. Yeah. That is for sure. And Wentoy Dow and I talked about it on briefing today. And, there are things Prosser did that are not standard journalism practices, allegedly, if this is all true, right? If this all plays out the way Apple says it did. So that would be another reason that this turned into a court case.
Definitely.
Microsoft has finally pulled the plug on its movies and TV store. As of today, July 18th, you can't buy new movies or TV shows on your Windows PC or Xbox any longer. And if you've already bought content, I wouldn't worry too much, at least not right now. You can still watch it through the Movies and TV app. So first off, this is not terribly surprising. Microsoft's been moving away from selling entertainment for a while. I think it was back in 2017 when they sold Groove, and they're doing something a little different. They are actively now directing folks to services like Netflix and Prime Video. So it really does look like they're done with this type of entertainment style content.
That tracks.
Yeah. And if you have a movie through this, you can connect it to Movies Anywhere, and then that transports it to other services, so you don't lose those movies. And Microsoft isn't saying they're going to cut you off anyway, but it makes it easier to have all your things in one place. TV shows, you're just kind of stuck using the Microsoft app, but probably not. I mean, the reason they're stopping this is not enough people were using it in the first place. DuckDuckGo is adding a setting to search that lets you filter out images that are made by image generators. So if you go to the image search section, choose the drop-down menu called AI Images, and then choose Show or Hide. You can show or hide them. You can also turn it on in general search by tapping the Hide AI Generated Images option. DuckDuckGo is using an open source block list curated by humans. One might wonder if it would be better if it was curated by AI, but then that would bring up the hypocrisy charge. But so this isn't going to be 100%, but it is going to block some of them.
I would imagine that there's going to be other search engines that will follow behind, because there's a movement right now where there are people who just really don't want anything that is generated in any kind of form or fashion by AI. So if it's just as simple as going to a drop down list and saying, I don't want any of that, a lot of people probably are going to select that. And then I think that signal will tell the other engines that, hey, maybe we should do this as well.
I think this is such a smart move because just like you just said, Rob, there's like a surprising, Tom and I have talked about this, there's sort of a surprising level of cultural backlash against AI generated art, which is going to be a theme that we discuss a little more in just a moment. But I think adding that ability is just like, it's a very quick immunity building, right? If every new piece of technology is sort of like a new virus unleashed in the world, this is like the process of building immunity to that and saying like, okay, we know it's in here, but if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. Like, very smart move by DuckDuckGo.
It's not lost on me, however, that probably the most effective way to eliminate AI images from your search would be to use AI to eliminate the images.
Yeah, the hand curated thing is going to be as clunky and doesn't particularly
that's
scale.
Very cumbersome, yeah.
But I take Tom's point, though, that if they were just like, we're using AI to do it, then it would sort of just, it's like,
yeah,
we're just burning more planet to filter out the planet burning AI. Like, it's just not, I mean, I know that's not the reason, but it's a no-win. That's a no-win.
It is a crowdsourced block list, so it's probably more effective than it sounds. It's not like one guy trying to keep up with like, there's another one.
Hey,
one guy doesn't know if a notepad is just going, I need an eraser. I need
writing URLs down like crazy.
Another one.
Bam, 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 bam,
When will it stop? All right, folks, those are the top 3 stories that caught our eye today. Netflix says it used generative AI for the first time in one of its original series, the Eternaut, like eternal, but astronaut. It is an Argentinian series, and it used a generative model to create a building collapse scene. Co-CEO Ted Sarandos said the sequence was 10 times quicker to produce than traditional effects. He said the budget we had for this show would not have accommodated the effects that would normally be used for something like this. So they wouldn't have been able to do it that way. All right. this obviously is going to be controversial in the film world because, as we've seen, we've had huge union battles over when to use this and when not. This doesn't mean that Netflix didn't abide by those rules, but it's something that they just kind of slip out in an earnings call. That's a little bit of a bomb here. So, Molly, who's madder, do you think? The audience that has the backlash we were previously talking about, or the industry who's like, oh, so you're just doing it now?
Yeah, probably the industry. It's so interesting that this popped up today because there's this clip that has been making the rounds. It's been all over my algorithm for some reason. And it's Ben Affleck from like a 2024 CNBC conference talking about how he really does not, talking extremely intelligently about the things that AI is going to do in the movie industry and not going to do in the movie industry, right? He's like, it's not going to make movies that are as compelling as having humans talk to each other and interact with each other and create that magic. But one of the things that he says, somewhat coldly, depending on where you are in the industry, is if you're in visual effects right now, you should be worried. And I think that it's sort of one of those, much like AI in general, this is a thing where there's this cultural backlash, where there's professional backlash, where obviously there have been giant lawsuits about this and companies are trying not to use these tools. But at the same time, if you really have something that can save you a ton of money and time and help you create more content, and that's your whole business model, it is not realistic to think you're not going to at some point use it. You're not going to leave that tool on the shelf.
Yeah, back in the day, I used to work for a consulting firm. One of the things that we sold were Silicon Graphics, computers that went to big production companies that they used these to generate the computer-aided graphics that you would see in movies back in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that. And those computers were expensive, but the people who sat in front of those computers, they cost a lot of money because they were really good at what they did. And there weren't that many of them in the world that did what they did on that level. And now what we're getting to is that to get those people would still be expensive. To get to use AI to do it is significantly less expensive, even though it's trained on all the stuff that all those creators created. And what I'm thinking here is that most people probably won't have the visceral reaction to this because it's not people that they see on screen that were displaced. This is kind of like the gateway drug to us getting us used to. We're using AI to generate this content that you love because it's less expensive for us, and we can continue to produce the shows that you like and love to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's the slippery slope, right? Like this show didn't have the budget to make the explosion happen with practical effects, so they used AI. Now the next budget is going to take that into account and not include the practical effects budget, so they're going to have to use AI. And then now that whole budget gets cut instead of being part of it, and hey, we just didn't have enough. Now we designed it not to have enough, and then you end up with this all over the place.
Mm-hmm. But yes, to answer your question directly, cases, audiences, like Rob said, audiences aren't going to care, but the FX houses, they care a lot. This is the beginning of the end.
What about the idea that the budget now doesn't have to spend as much on effects, we'll spend it on other things? Or do you just think movie companies they'll just cut the budgets?
Yeah. They will cut actually, a point that Ben Affleck made, this is so weird because I just watched this long interview yesterday.
Yeah.
A point that Ben Affleck made is that the law of supply and demand, the kind of macroeconomics here should suggest that what they do is they don't necessarily, it would be great if they rolled that money over to writers or audio mixing. There have been all those stories about how we all have to use captions because everybody skimps on sound mixing so much that you can't hear a damn thing no matter what age you are. That would be lovely. They are unlikely to do that for individual productions, but what they will do is roll that money into more content. And so we may get 3 shows instead of 1 in the same time frame,
I think also if you had, let's just say you had $10 million to make something, and $1 million would have gone to a graphics effects department, and now you've only got to put 100,000 to that. That 900,000 will continue to be used on that project to just make other things better. But there's still $900,000 that did not go to the special effects. So that's going to, at the end of the day, jobs are going to be, going to be cut because of that. So I think, for the people who are absolutely affected by this, is like, it doesn't matter how you got to the fact that I no longer am employed, because you are using AI to do this thing that I used to do for you. The effect on how they feel ultimately is going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the jobs get shifted in that scenario. That doesn't help the visual effects person if they're like, great, catering got improved. I'm not a caterer. That doesn't help me at all.
And
but
then you have the
that is
gentle ramp
definitely,
up.
that is definitely
Then you have
something that I think is more likely to be an issue here. It's hotel Wi-Fi, folks. I'm sorry.
Right.
I think that
Yeah.
the job disruption is probably probably the biggest issue versus job elimination. I think it's job disruption that you have to watch out for and be ready to accommodate for.
I was just going to bring up that, as stuff like this pushes visual artists out of work, the remaining visual artists are going to be in more demand and therefore even more expensive. So it's not even a problem that's going to help itself. Eventually, it's going to exacerbate itself. So,
well, you'll see kind of like the immunity argument. Like what you'll see is studios say, we only make, what is it, A24? Is that the like hipster studio that makes all the cool stuff? A studio like that might just say, we only make 3 films a year and we make them all by hand. Like, I think what you'll start to see, much like DuckDuckGo filtering out AI generated images, is choices, artistic choices. So Netflix's business model has always been bulk. And for 15 years, I have said, this is a problem for Netflix long term in terms of profitability, because content is expensive. It is just a sarlacc pit of money. It just sucks and sucks and sucks. And so they have figured out ways to do economies of scale. But like now you see Netflix having to start to cancel things because it doesn't have enough audience for that ad supported tier. So their business is bulk. Of course, they are going to start to lean on these tools whenever they can. But you may see more artisanal studios say, our business is art and we won't use these tools. And you'll start to see this split. You'll kind of have a little bit of everything.
I think one of the other effects that you might see from this is that you may see small indie folks who don't have a ton of budget. They were never going to do the special effects in the first place just because they could never afford it. Now this is going to allow them to start getting into it. So I don't know how, the industry is going to react to that either, because it's like, you're going to have someone, we only have $50,000 to shoot this film, but we can make this house on fire or this house exploding, which is part of the story. We just didn't have it, the entire budget would have gone to that before. Now we can do it because we have a $200 subscription to, one of these platforms that allows us to create that. And it's passable for an actual independent film. So I think you're going to see this come from the other side as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the forthcoming implications of this, but what about the immediacy of the usage, right? Because I think a lot of people are worried, like, oh, you're gonna have it make stuff that looks bad, or you're gonna have it try to replace actors and all of this. But this is a building collapse, and nobody noticed. Nobody pointed it out and said, I can tell Netflix used AI. Now, maybe in retrospect it'll be obvious, but what do we think of this particular usage of it?
I think that Netflix announced this in a way that was going to be least disruptive to them. Nobody, this show has been out for a minute. No one has said anything. At least it hasn't gotten to the point to where it's gone viral with people saying, aha, I think they're using AI to generate this. They had to tell us, and now everyone is going back and say, oh yeah, I can definitely see it. It's like, well, can you? Why didn't you say that yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, I think it's like a pretty good, it's a pretty good usage. Like if I'm, again, that sounds kind of cold because this is the beginning of a massive sea change in various jobs and how they're distributed throughout Hollywood. But like, look, if I'm a movie executive and I have this tool available to me and I can use it, I'm going to use it. And I think they've handled it. God, I sound like such a mercenary, but they've handled it cleverly by putting it into the earnings report, because what they have said very clearly by putting it in an earnings report is that this is an economic decision. This is an economic benefit to us, this company. And so it's sort of like they made pretty good art and they're doing it in an economically viable fashion and they are a public company. Like, Kudos, Netflix. Well played.
Well,
And now I just hide from my inbox right now.
Since we're talking about money, let's talk about cash. Rob has noticed recently that cashless transactions keep rising. Cash keeps getting scarcer. Maybe the question is if folks who have cash actually use it, Rob.
So yeah, Tom, I actually read an interesting article over on Fast Company about digital banking's revolution and how over 2/3 of U.S. consumers have used P2P payment methods like Zelle in the last year. One of the really interesting things is that when you get beyond just P2P, if it's just banking apps, it's like 74% of people use banking apps in the last week. So this stuff is really popular. And in this article, there was a quote from Tim Ferrider, who is the managing director and head of digital at Chase. And he says that cash birthday gifts have become a relic of the past. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I just went to a birthday party this past weekend. And I noticed this. I read this article probably a month or so ago, and I noticed this while I was at the party. It was a 17-year-old young lady, just celebrating her birthday, going into her senior year of high school. So there's a lot of folks there, and she's getting the gifts. But the gifts were not the $20 bills for the most part. It was, what is your Venmo? What is your Cash App? Can I Zelle you? I think someone actually gave her a paper check, and there were a few folks who gave her, debit cards, or not debit cards, but the cards you buy. You go to the store and you buy the card, the gift card.
Gift card, yeah.
And what was really interesting is that it was relatively few for the, it was probably close to 100 people at this party, and she got, she got broke off a little bit. She has a life take to go into her senior year of high school. But it was very few folks who actually gave her cash. And then I'm just thinking, it's like, when's the last time you actually use cash as compared to using a card or tapping to pay or using some app that the store may have? I was thinking about this. The last time I actually used cash was Memorial Day weekend. And that was only because I went to like a little fair where they had vendors on the street and they were taking cash. And as I think about it, I had cash specifically so I could get me the brat, but I probably could have just tapped to pay just as effectively as well. But that was the very last time that I've used cash. So we're talking about, for me, two months ago. I've always got cash on me, but I rarely ever actually use it.
Yeah, I used to use cash.
I used cash yesterday.
Ooh.
Do tell, Tom. Do tell.
to tip the bartender.
Nice.
Because actually, no, wait, sorry. I've used cash twice because I also tipped the breakfast guy this morning. But again, it was a tip jar full of cash, and I was like, "Oh, I have a little cash on me. I can put a little in the tip jar." But I was paying with my phone.
Mm-hmm. I know.
But
cash
I wanted
for
to make
tips.
Sure that
Yeah, cash for tips is like the only reason that I ever regret not having cash, or am happy that I do have cash and I do try to carry it. But I can validate that the younger generation, my son is 18, and if he gets cash now, then he basically just comes to me and asks me to buy it from him with the Cash App.
Yep.
Like, can you just put money on my Cash App and take this $100 bill off my hands? And I'm always like, but then now what am I going to do with it? It's like having no money. Like, you can't use a hundo.
Actually, my daughter just got married a week and a half ago, and her entire registry there were no items on it. It was just, hey, help contribute to our honeymoon fund. They want to take a cruise. And it was all just digital transactions. Mm-hmm. A few of the older folks left some bills in the little envelopes at the gift table, but everyone else just contributed to the honeymoon fund. And I think it's been funded. I'm not sure. And that's the last time I used cash because I tipped the DJ and the bartender at the wedding.
My youngest child, she is going into her senior year of college, and it's something that my wife and I tell her all the time. Even if you're never going to use it, just keep cash on you, just in case. You just never know when you might absolutely need to use it, and just put it in that part of your wallet that you keep zipped up that you never go into, so it's always there when you need it. But just keep it, because she just does not use cash at all. I mean, I guess, what is that generation called? Gen Z. So she is a zillennial. But I remember when she would come home and she's working over the summer, and she was working in a restaurant where she could get tips. and she would get the cash tips. And then like every month or so, she's like, hey, Dad, can you like, I'll trade you this $374 in singles for you just to cash at me $375. She never was going to lose out. She always wanted more than what she was giving me. I think that's the thing of children. But it was like we had to get to like, once a month. I don't want her walking around with like 371, 4 loose single dollar bills. So we would always go to the bank and deposit it, and it would go into her check. And she's like, I don't want the money back. I just want it to be in my account where I can access it from my card. And her and her friends, that's all they do. It is. I have no conscious memory of ever seeing my daughter use cash as an adult.
I think the other interesting, not to belabor this, but the other interesting trend that we've put our finger on here is not just that they're not using cash. It's also the disinterest in stuff. Like there's such, which is just sort of like, there's such economic anxiety across the board in some ways for Gen Z that they're just kind of like, I don't want, and maybe they're just not as focused on stuff in general, but they're sort of like, I want to choose what stuff I get. And I don't want anything other than buying power. So it's not just that they don't want cash. It's that they would put together a whole wedding registry that's just like, just give me buying power as opposed to anything else. And I will pick the gifts accordingly, which is just kind of fascinating all on its own.
We used to be offended by that. Oh, you don't want a gift? You want just give you money? Oh,
right. We thought it was like a tacky gift.
Yeah. And now it's like, no, this is the way.
I know every holiday with my son and my niece is so boring because it's just like, yeah, they just want money.
Yeah. And not cash. They just want you to send it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So digging deeper into this article, one of the side effects that comes from people just no longer using cash and paper money to pay for things is that folks aren't creating budgets like they used to. They aren't definitely, I have no idea the last time I've seen somebody actually try to balance a checkbook. And part of it is because you don't have to. These apps are really good. They generally have a AI back end on it, and they just create all this for you. So if you're using the same card or the same cards over and over again, or the same methods to pay for things over and over again, that stuff all just gets sucked into a really, really nice interface that has all kind of spreadsheets and all types of graphs and pie charts and all this kind of stuff that tells you how your spending is going. So as a side effect of by not doing that stuff, you've got an interface, you've got a dashboard that is really telling you specifically how you're spending your money. So in some ways, it's actually a benefit to you, these things that we weren't doing, balancing your checkbook, your checking account kind of just, if you're using a card or a debit card, it kind of just balances itself. And you've now got an app where 74% of people are going to these apps once a week, and you're just checking it, and it's giving the ability to see, here's where your money is being spent. How this is, are you going to be short or are you going to be long on, the bills coming up at the end of the week or the end of the month or however you pay them.
I literally, because of this conversation, just picked up my phone, went to Venmo, and paid my dog walker.
Yeah, and then last potentially point is that the flip side of this is that, yes, it's all very convenient for us, but like small retailers, this sucks for them. Right? Because credit card transaction fees remain high. And so I'm seeing more retailers that used to only accept cash, like the manicure place, right? Would always be like, please tip in cash. And now they take Venmo and Zelle, which are reportable as income, but don't have those credit card transaction fees. And so it's been interesting to see retailers try to figure that out. There will still sometimes be a cash discount certain places or a debit card discount as opposed to using a credit card, so they don't have to pay those fees. But it's been clever to watch them shift to like, all right, well, instead we just take Zelle or Venmo.
Yeah, and I think the other part of that, and this is maybe based off of the states you live in, but here in Ohio, folks are regularly charging you a credit card service fee if you use a credit card. It's just that there's going to be an extra 2.5% that's tacked onto it.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So,
and
folks,
we'll leave
we
a
want
space here for all the international audience to explain to us how great their international transaction systems are and are so superior to ours. We know.
We know.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
This is a roundtable discussion for us. It's a comedy skit for you. We get it.
So, folks, we'd love to hear from you. How are you using cash? Are you still using cash? Are you using these digital apps to make your payments? Let us know. And if you got any other feedback about anything that's brought up on the show, you can get in touch with us on our socials at DTNS Show on X, Instagram, and Threads, Blue Sky, and Mastodon. And I should say Mastodon is Mastodon or mstnd.social. For TikTok and YouTube, you can just find us at Daily Tech News Show.
On the latest episode of Everybody in the Pool, Molly talked to the CEO and co-founder of Cyclic Materials about recycling rare earth metals from existing discarded electronic devices, and it was fascinating. You're going to want to listen to this. But give us the summary of the idea here, Molly.
Yeah, this is one of those interviews that turned out to be accidentally unbelievably timely. So Cyclic Materials is a company that recycles rare earth metals, and those are various metals that you've never heard of: dysprosium, neodymium. They're all, I learned, at the very bottom of the element table, and they are used primarily in the manufacturing of magnets. And the magnets themselves are key to everything from wind turbines and electric vehicle batteries to jet engines and computers and missiles. That, like, a lot of them are used in for a lot of military applications. And these metals, they're not, it's just a fascinating story across the board. They're not actually rare. They exist in large quantities on Earth, but they're really expensive and hard to mine. They usually are found in small concentrations, and they're hard to extract. And China controls 90% of the supply of rare earth metals that, again, make the magnets that go in pretty much everything electronic. And since April, because of the tariff fight that the U.S. has initiated, China has completely banned exports of 5 of the 7 rare earth metals that are crucial to making these magnets, and also banned export of the magnets themselves. So, like, on the one hand, the interview with Cyclic Materials was super interesting because they have a real strong sustainability focus. They're trying to create local supply chains, like a hub and spoke model by which they would harvest rare earth metals. They just actually announced a big partnership with Lime, the scooter and e-bike company. So they will harvest rare earth metals and magnets from end-of-life scooters and e-bikes, and then create sort of an urban mining loop where they recycle these metals then back into new magnets. But it's just so they have a big sustainability focus because they want to create more localized supply chains, and also want to enable the building of more EV chargers and wind turbines and other clean technology. And also, it's just a huge geopolitical issue at the moment. And in fact, there was an NPR story that, if you're watching the video, you just saw up on the screen from a day or two ago, because that kind of, since that April export ban, we've, the U.S. has sort of burned through its supplies and realized, like, oh crap, we do not have a backup plan for these metals and magnets at all.
So
which is a really big deal.
The recycling part of this is essential to this, obviously, in the short term for situations like you're describing with the United States, but also just in general, because you are always going to have something like this be a possibility if you have one country controlling 90% of the supply of anything. And so, yes, there are other ways to diversify the supply. One of them is in Congo, which is one of the reasons China has the supply, because they've tied up the supply from Congo going to China. And that's a problematic area of its own that we don't have time to get into. There's also Ukraine. Oh, wait, that's also a problematic area that we don't have time to go into. So recycling is useful in that practical sense, right? In addition to the environmental sense.
Absolutely. I mean, recycling is going to just prove probably significantly economically superior. Like, it is just going to be way cheaper to harvest these materials from existing feedstock and end-of-life electronics and devices and recycle them back into magnets, as opposed to the process of mining them, which, again, the reason that they're called rare earth metals is that in so many cases, it's just an unbelievable amount of energy. In fact, the mining itself, part of the reason that China has created this chokehold is that the mining itself is what's rare. because it is so expensive and difficult. And then on top of that, massively, emissions producing and environmentally intensive. It takes a ton of water and a ton of energy to do this. So currently, less than 1% of rare earth metals are recycled at all, which means that you just have the world around us is a mine, is one huge mine for these metals. And so the idea that we're not harvesting that and recycling it is just, frankly, just like economically stupid.
Molly, did you get into any questions, or were you able to ask how efficient is this? Like if you have recyclables, and let's say that there's 100 pounds of stuff in the things you want to recycle, how efficient is the recycling process? How many pounds would you actually get? Let's go with kilograms for our international listeners. How many kilograms, if you had 100 kilograms of stuff, how many kilograms of that stuff could you get through the recycling process?
I did ask that. It was sort of like, is it worse? Is it a slightly inferior product? And basically no, like it's metal. And so all of the metal can in fact be recovered and separated out. So he made this kind of interesting point. I'm looking it up because he had this great metaphor. He said, let's say we're recycling a pizza, right? He's like, some companies might recycle from a pizza to the dough. And then you will have dough, but the dough will taste like pepperoni pizza because they just like mashed up a pepperoni pizza. In their case, they take the pizza apart and recover all of the flour, the salt, the pepper, the pepperoni, the butter, like everything else that kind of went into it. But it's an incredibly efficient process that also, side note, consumes 5% of the water that would be consumed if you mined it. Yeah. And 65%, the carbon footprint overall is 65% less than the mining industry. It's a no-brainer.
I feel like
Rob it really is kind of a no-brainer.
Rob and I probably had similar. I from some of the stories you've told, Rob, I feel like we have similar people in our families who were like, "Well, don't waste that. Figure out how to use it." Right, and that seems to be the principle here. Is like, why are you throwing that away? That's still useful.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, Molly, if we can recover 100% of the rare earth metals in the stuff that we make, and it's so less of, harmful to the environment, we should be doing this regardless of the geopolitical situation that we're in. But definitely with it being here, it seems like there should be a bunch of little startups that are coming up right now that should be probably looking at this and figuring out how to tackle this problem, much like the company that you talked to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you guys talked about this earlier this week, that Apple actually just invested $500 million into a startup, a fully integrated rare earth mining company that's operating in the United States. And they're doing the mining. They're not necessarily doing the harvesting and recycling, but certainly there is like an all-out effort to diversify this supply chain.
Because Apple wants to create recycling processing with that mining company, right?
Yep.
Which, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But if they did, I hadn't thought about it until just now. But imagine if this becomes the norm, right? Whenever someone gets rid of a piece of electronics, it is efficiently broken down, and there's a system to pull out the neodymium and all the other rare earth metals and magnets and everything for reuse. Who then dominates the supply? The people who consume the most electronics. It suddenly becomes a huge advantage to be the place that has the people who buy the most electronics.
Yes. All of a sudden you get paid for the drawer of phones that you have sitting in your house. Yeah, exactly. All of that stuff becomes feedstock that has value. And it really, like, to your point, Rob, it's sometimes you hear something like this and you're like, I mean, when you really say it out loud, like instead of harvesting materials that, by the way, are at their most expensive, like $1 million a ton. Just one of these rare earth metals costs $1 million a ton. And we like let it sit in drawers or landfills if it's a bike or a scooter, instead of going and getting that stuff and pulling it out. It's kind of just, it's like lazy consumer behavior to the nth degree that we haven't been doing this already.
This is just like every auto dump we have across the U.S. Like there's all this steel and all these different, the copper wiring and everything else that goes into cars that we just let rot instead of recovering because we can't be bothered with it,
Yep.
I'm still just fascinated with this idea of flipping it on its head and saying, if you really want to stick it to China, develop a domestic recycling industry that says, great, you want to spend a lot of money mining this stuff and make it really expensive? Go for it. Build it, send it to us, and then we'll have the cheap rare earth metals here that we can sell back to you and make money so that you can build more stuff.
100%.
I regularly tell folks, because I get asked this question a lot, hey, what do I do with my old phone? Do I just leave it sitting in a drawer? I have the tendency to leave a lot of old phones sitting in a drawer, but don't chuck those strings in the trash.
Oh.
For me, one of the easiest places to take it is just take it to Best Buy. Best Buy will only take phones. They take tablets. They take basically any type of relatively small electronic. You're not going to take a TV from 1984 back to Best Buy to get that recycled, but you can take a monitor there. You can take a phone there. You can take a tablet there. You can take a computer there, a laptop. So just if we can just socialize, don't throw that stuff in the trash, because once it goes to the recycle, it gets recycled. But if it goes to the trash, depending on where your trash goes, it gets incinerated, or it goes to a just big mountain they make in the middle of nowhere that smells real bad when you drive past it on the freeway.
Yeah, and these are countries other than America, by the way, where all of those toxic electronics go. And kudos to Apple, by the way. This did remind me, because Apple has actually had a very good recycling program in place for a long time. And when they first announced it, I was probably among many people who were like, well, this is like tiny and it sounds really good as an environmental announcement. Shout out Lisa Jackson, who was their chief sustainability officer, maybe still is. Apple started using recycled rare earth elements in 2019 in the iPhone 11. And today, according to this TechCrunch story, almost all magnets across its devices are made with 100% recycled rare earth elements. Because you know what Apple is good at? Maximizing margin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like it's
worth
environmentally
$500 million to invest in that rare earth mining company because of this, right?
Hell yeah. Like it helps you out with your net zero goals, no question. But it maximizes margin.
It does. I am jaded this way because I always think of companies like Apple and every other company. How do we make the most money? Do this thing. And by the way, doing that thing is economically, it is good for the environment. Oh, okay. Well, let's tout the second thing.
Sure.
But let's make sure that we're doing it for the first thing.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. They get it.
Well,
anyway, it was a great conversation. Super timely.
We have learned a lot about rare earth metals just now, so let's put that to the test. It's the end of the week, and Roger has prepared a quiz that Amos is going to execute for us. Tell us about the quiz for the weekend, Amos.
Rare earth metals are crucial in building and maintaining our modern technology, as we have just discussed, but do you know the actual names of those rare earth metals? This quiz will test to see if you know which are rare earth metals are real and which ones sound like one. I will give a name, and you must tell me if you think it's real, rare earth element, or something that just sounds like one. These are all names, not fictionalized ones. Nothing here was made up.
Okay. So it's a name of something. That'll be fun to try to guess what it is if it's not a rare earth. And if you were listening to Molly's episode, maybe she named some of these.
Some of them might.
This
have
is
been
the
named,
classic.
yeah.
The professor says, "I just gave you the answer."
I'm going to do poorly.
First one, thulium.
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 I'll use it in a sentence. The first element that may or may not exist is thulium.
Oh, God.
Right, and thulium could be an element, but not a rare earth metal.
Right.
Right.
Because these are all of these things are things, as you said,
Are
none of the
actual
names are
real.
made up.
Yeah.
That makes this significantly more difficult.
I
I'm just
think
throwing a dart at
thulium
this.
is not a rare earth metal, but instead a savant player of the theremin.
Wait, aren't they all metals though? They're all metals. They're just
They're
not
all
all
something. They're all a real
They're all
name of
something.
something.
In fact, all the metals are rare earth metals. So there are no like non-rare earth metals in here.
I see. So if something is a metal,
So
it's, a rare
it's
earth
either a
metal.
rare earth metal or it's something completely
For
different.
God's sake. I'm going to go for thulium. I'm going to go yes.
You're going to say it's a rare earth metal. Okay.
It's not in the episode, but I'm going to say it's a yes.
Yeah, I want to go. Thulium is something different. Not because I know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Thulium is a rare earth element that is the second least abundant lanthanide in Earth's crust, used in portable X-ray devices, laser technology, microwave equipment, and scientific research.
Blah, 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 blah. I got one.
Good job, Molly.
Suck it, Roger. All right. Next.
Well, it looks like Amos. You froze there for a second, but are you back? What's the second one that we have?
Caladium.
Caladium. That is one of the auto-generated names when you're playing a fantasy style RPGs.
Got it. Okay.
I'm going to say the Caladium is where the Beatles played in Hamburg. The Caladium.
I'm going to say Caladium is giving me like soap vibes. I do not know why. So I'm going to say it's a chemical component of like Dove bar soap, but
now
not a rare
with
earth metal.
Caladium.
Now with Caladium.
Caladium
It's
is a
giving
genus.
soap.
It's a genus of flowering plants in the family Araceae. Araceae.
What's a plant?
Yeah, easy
All
for you
right.
to say. That's a plant.
Oh, it's an
Okay.
elephant ear.
Oh, it's
I
the
know
elephant
this
ear.
plant. I know this
Oh,
plant.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We all got that one right.
We know.
Yeah.
All right. So
Bravo.
we all get a point for knowing it wasn't a rare earth metal.
Yeah. Exactly.
We don't get bonus points.
We don't get bonus points. The rest was just for fun.
If you can name exactly what it is and maybe pull one from the shelf behind you, then maybe we'll go with that. But
Yeah.
I have a Caladium right here.
I got one.
Here's an elephant ear.
All right,
That's
next
a
up
funnel
is-
cake. That's not the elephant ear plant.
Counts. The next one is euphonium.
Euphonium. I don't know. Being a podcaster as long as all of us have been, we kind of have spidey senses when it comes to things that have to do with sound.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this is not a rare earth element. I'm going to say that this is something to do with audio in some form or fashion.
I'm with
Agree.
you. This
From
is-
way
this
back
is-
when, from back in the late
Yeah.
1800s.
No, this is
100%
you'll
agree.
find this in the 1880 version of the Sears and Roebuck catalog. It's like a hearing aid. The
Right.
euphonium.
Close.
Euphonium. Same.
Close. 1843. Tenor and baritone voiced valved brass instrument. It is a leading instrument in the tenor bass range in military bands. It was invented in 1843 by Sommer of Weimar and derived from the valve bugle, the flugelhorn, in cornet.
No, it's a brass instrument. Nice.
It's
You know what? That sounds
It's a trumpet.
familiar now that you say that. Yeah.
Now that you say it, I absolutely
Right.
know it's the little baritone.
Yeah.
Funny. All right. Okay. We're crushing it.
All right. How about gaudium?
Just so bright and loud.
So gaudy.
Gaudium.
Gaudium.
The
Yeah.
brightest and loudest
Yeah.
of the rare earth metals. I'm going to say this is a
Gaudium
rare
is-
earth metal. I'm going with rare earth metal.
I'm gonna- you know what,
is
I'm
it the
going with
base
that
word
too.
for gaudyism?
Gaudy. Ooh.
Yeah.
The
This
school
is
where
what
you
the
learn how to
Barcelona
do-
Cathedral is made of.
But I also feel like it's just like been a minute since we had a rare earth metal, so I'm gonna say it is one.
That's kind of where I'm at too, Molly.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm the same place.
We're due.
We're due. Not
This
because
is
we
test
know.
taker
We
strategy,
just-
not knowledge.
Yeah.
That's right.
C. We're all picking C.
Gaudium is a genus of 22 species of flowering plants in the myrtle family.
man.
Oh, biscuits.
Still say it's like loud and obnoxious.
These are pretty flowers, so there's that.
They're not.
Are they? They're from Australia.
That I don't know.
Yeah, I think it said it in that Wikipedia article Joe threw up that they're Australia, so they probably can kill you.
There you go. Makes them kind of gaudy. Gaudy. Huh. All right. Okay.
All right, this one I'm going to go ahead and screw the pronunciation of. Lutetium.
I know her.
She your barista down in Santa Monica somewhere.
No, she's a dev. She's a really good coder.
She's a dev. It does sound like a Discord username. Totally.
I'm going to go with maybe is it pronounced lutetium? And I think this is a rare earth metal.
Okay, you're going rare earth metal.
I am too, because I still think we're due.
I have
Although
a feeling
now
Roger just didn't
I
give
should
us
know
any
better
at this point.
I know I
but,
should
yeah.
know better, because Roger
We'll
has
see.
no internal logic. There is no. But I think I vote metal.
Lutetium or lutetium is a rare earth element used in nuclear medicine, catalyst, in petroleum process, and metallurgy and research.
Ding
But
ding
do
ding
we know
ding.
it isn't a developer? Also, because maybe she named herself after this rare earth metal.
Let's search the entirety of Discord to
I'll
see.
tell you what, if she didn't, I'm gonna. New Reddit username incoming.
All right, how about scandium?
That's what we called John Scandretti when I was in high school. Old scandium. But I also think it's a rare earth metal. I think this is a real
I think
one.
so
This
too.
sounds familiar.
I think
yeah.
scandium is a metal. Mhm.
I think it is as well.
This is the only one on the entire list that I knew before reading the answers on this quiz. Scandium is a rare earth element used in aluminum alloys, scandium-based metal halide lamps.
Nice.
Okay, amazing. All right, cool.
All right, how about europium?
That is an actual element, but I don't know if it's a rare earth metal.
Yeah.
That's my guess. Anyway, I'm pretty sure there is a europium something in the table.
I don't think it
Periodic
is.
table.
I don't think it's one.
And seeing how we haven't gone to
think it's a
Europa
trick.
and back yet. I don't think we brought any of it back on us. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Europium is the stuff that's going to be on whatever spaceship lands there and eventually brings
There.
it back. We
Totally.
just-
I was like,
yeah.
I'm like,
We're-
that's
we're
the
just-
Jupiter. That's Jupiter moon dirt. That's not.
I'm going to say it's a rare earth
Element.
It's not a metal. A rare earth, not metal. I couldn't think of anything. Sorry.
The rare earth alkaline. Europium is one of the rarest of the rare earth
There we go.
elements
Oh,
on Earth and used in CRT
Ah, damn it.
TVs and fluorescent lamps.
Interesting. All right. Fine. None of
All
these
right.
were in
We're
the
so
episode.
rare because you have to go all the way to Europa to get it, like Rob said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moon dust.
And back, Tom. You don't just go there. You have to come back with it.
And back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about ilium?
The,
I know this.
creator of the
This is-
user-friendly cartoons.
Ilium is the blue-winged angel throughout the Archangels consort series. Who I don't want to spoil who he ends up with, but it's a really sweet romance. So obviously not a metal. He's an angel.
Ilium. I always thought ilium was the element of hip hop on the Beastie Boys' first album.
So many options.
Yeah. Licensed.
I'm going to
ilium.
go, and this has nothing to do with me knowing what this word is. It has everything to do with me trying to get in the mind of Roger, who made this quiz. And I don't think he would end it with a rare earth metal if the previous couple were. So I'm going to
Especially
go,
right, 'cause he chunked them.
not because I know, but I'm trying to channel Roger. I'm being the Roger whisperer. I want to say that
Yeah.
ilium is not a rare earth metal.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Same.
Ilium is the largest and uppermost bone of the pelvis. It plays a crucial role in weight bearing and locomotion,
Really?
supporting the spine and enabling movement.
Also an angel.
Yeah.
And I should have known
For
this because there,
romantasy readers.
I once for a test in biology named about 75% of all the bones in the body. And I should have known this because it's like,
Wow. Yeah.
Dang.
but I didn't stick it in my second brain. Therefore, it doesn't
Yeah.
count.
There
It
you go.
didn't, it didn't
That's the
exist.
See DTNS Briefing Weekend Edition for more. All right, that is it for the quiz. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Amos. Thank you, everyone who participated. I hope we learned a little bit about rare earth metals today. Let's check out the mailbag.
David wrote in about Reddit verifying user ages in the UK in DTNS Line 5060, you guys talked about how Reddit in the UK is going to have to verify users' ages in order to give them access to more adult sections of the site. You talked about how whether the system can be gamed, and maybe it can. However, I'm sure that it will keep most kids away from most adult material. It doesn't need to work 100% of the time to be acceptable. You're right in wondering if it'll also unintentionally lock out some adults who might not want to go through the hassle of verifying their ages. However, the sites that I think will be most affected will be the sites like Pornhub, who will also need to implement similar rules. I suspect users will be a lot more willing to hand their driver's license to Reddit than to Pornhub.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't disagree with any of that. And I think people will be more concerned about handing their license to the verifying company than they are to any of these. But if they are going to do it, they'll risk it for Reddit more often than Pornhub or other places like that. Remember, you can send in your comments, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. And of course, if you're a patron, comment on anything we post. We look at those too. Patreon.com/DTNS. Molly Wood, thanks so much for being here. It's always a pleasure. Let folks know where they can find your shows and everything else you do.
It is my pleasure. Everybodyinthepool.com is where you can find the podcast every single week, and mollywood.co is where you can find the accompanying newsletter. And I would say that I've recently realized that Substack Notes is probably my most active platform. I just like those little notes. Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
That and like
that's
LinkedIn.
cool.
I don't know what's happened to me.
Well, folks, you've been submitting titles over at dtns.showbot.tv, and we've got some pretty good ones over there. I want to start with the one right at the top here. Zoe Brings Bacon, curated by humans. Kind of like that one.
I like that.
I also like Xbox Office flops because it reminds me of coffin flops.
Heyo. That's funny.
Stealth Dave has the littlest bear toad. I like that one.
The
too.
Sarlacc Pit of Money from Stealth Dave. That's a good one too.
Let's see here. Batfink 2001, channeling Chang.
Cash Me Outside is hilarious.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's deep. That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
Mind your own rare earth business.
Amos, what did we decide to go with today?
I saw one and it was just immediately it. Only the finest human crafted AI from Clinton Woodward.
That's a good one. That's a
Well
good
done,
one.
Clinton
That's good
Woodward.
stuff.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Big thanks to
Artisanal
everyone
AI.
who supports us in all the places you can, including Twitch, where we got a follow from CPOTS50, who's supported us for a long time. Thanks for the follow. Minion Monkey 5150 cheered us with 50 bits. Woohoo! Good day, internet. And Molly is here. Thanks for the bits in honor of Molly. Net Guy Green's back for the 73rd month. Happy to share the prime. Paley Glendale and SW Texas gave us bits too. Very generous from both of you. And Zoe Brings Bacon, as always, giving us some bits. We also got a super sticker from Tudo when we were talking earlier. Thank you, Tudo, for that. And big thanks to everybody who watches us on LinkedIn, who supports us at patreon.com/DTNS, and on YouTube. If you go over to YouTube, our channel has lots of other stuff, including a new top 5. The top 5 weird Steve Jobs habits. You might know one or two of these, but I bet you didn't know all of them. Go check it out. You can catch it at Daily Tech News Show on TikTok and Instagram, or youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show. We are live on DTNS Live Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UTC. Find out more about that at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Thanks to everybody for being here. We'll be back on Monday with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then. This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show Live were created by the following people: producer and host Sarah Lane, host Tom Merritt, host Rob Dunewood, producer Roger Chang, video producer Joe Kuntz, producer at large Anthony Lemos, social media producer and moderator Zoe Deterding, our mods Beatmaster, W. Scottus1, BioCow, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, aka Gadget Virtuoso, and JD Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Luters. Art by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Bobby Wagner. Contributors to this week's show included Justin Robert Young, Scott Johnson, and Molly Wood. And thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.